Okay, good afternoon, guys. You might notice the lighting's a little bit different in this video. That's because I'm painting at daytime, which is kind of rare for me. I like to paint at night because the light at night is reliable because I'm in control of it. Daytime light is variable. You know, sunny days different to cloudy days. Cloudy days are different to other cloudy days, and blah blah blah. So there you go. Anyway, base coated the skin in Cadian Flesh. I'm going to give it a quick shade through Mornfang Brown, Rhinox Hide, blah blah blah. So just so you know, I've base coated the eyes in Rhinox Hide. Sometimes I do it in black. This time I did it in Rhinox Hide because I've done his hair in Rhinox Hide, and I've done it that way so it's easier for you guys to kind of see which bits I'm hitting with my brush, because this side of the face, the mould isn't that great, stuff isn't clear, so at least this way you get just a slightly better idea of what my brush is actually hitting. So let's go subtle and simple at first. Very different kind of experience now, because I'm showing you some actual shading instead of starting with a wash like I did last time. And notice I'm using much smaller amounts of paint as well. Next thing to notice is how much more diluted I'm using the paint. So yeah, and I'm just going to start to get in anywhere it looks like there should be some kind of line shade. So under his eyelid, under his eye, brow, around his nostril, under his little frowny thing there, over the bridge of his nose there. Obviously the same on the other side. Now you almost can barely see these when I start. Putting it above his eyebrow to give him a frown. Yeah, and the other side as well. Frown, and one line on his forehead, and he's got this little like lump there where he frowns a lot, you know, right between his brows. There we go. Kind of outline his ear a little bit. Got some shading in his ear, some shading in that ear. Just kind of let it be random in his ear. Start to pick out his little John Travolta thing in his chin. Let's shade up towards his lip. And I'm not being too precise or too fussy right now with these, but at the same time, I'm not making any big changes. Alright. To this, let's just get under the back of his head, around his ears. There we go. Brilliant. Next step, add a bit more of that. Gone a little bit thinner again. Might have gone too thin, but I can go on in multiple layers. And essentially I'm going to get a lot of those lines on again. Now I say a lot of them, not all of them. So like the ones on the bridge of his nose there, I'm not going to put that in because that wouldn't be a darker shadow. But this one right here where his frown is, that would be a darker shadow. So I'll get them ones in. I had to do the lines a little bit shorter this time, you know, to like give the illusion that they're obviously getting darker the tighter his frown is. Get under his lip. Getting his little John Travolta here. The other thing is I can kind of go like imperceptibly subtle with this, because I know that later on when I start to highlight his face, that highlighting process really accentuate the shades I've put in. I'm just going to get around the side of his nose there. Scribble a bit more in his ears. Brilliant. Behind his ears, around the back of his head. Nice. Cool. Alright. Start to go a little bit darker. Now, the face that we're painting here is going to be very different to the face of the other guy that I actually finished, because he was done in the old way where I had base coated everything, washed it with Agrax and then worked up from there. And I just figured that actually the way that kind of works, I actually think it's a harder way of doing things, and it'd definitely be a lot more harder to explain in a video how I deal with that. So I figured I'd show you something a little bit different. There we go. I think I've screwed this up a little bit, but that's the beauty about doing this way. The screwy up bits are kind of a lot easier to deal with because they're a bit more isolated on the model. The thing to remember though with faces is, you know, they're almost all kind of different as well, and you've got to get good at adapting. So there's no one way of, oh, how do you paint faces? There's a few general principles though. You know, so like this, I'm kind of going in and I'm putting in clear lines where I see clear lines. Yeah. And adding some lines where I feel like I need to add some lines, like in his frown, and maybe like some crow's feet. I like to add crow's feet on the side of his head as well. And again, a little bit tricky to see on this model. If he didn't have facial hair, this would be a lot easier lesson on doing faces. But he doesn't have facial hair, so it's tough for now. Alright, here we go. Back up to Cadian Flesh, and this is where we neaten things up if they need neatening up. So like, for example, his cheekbone, if it had too much shading on it, you know, a redotting the bridge of his nose, the tip of his nose, just strengthen his eyebrow and bits of his frown. And again, this is kind of line work as well. So the way I've got his frown here, it makes him look like he's got more of a raised eyebrow on the left because he's got an extra wrinkle in. I could put that wrinkle in there, and I'm almost tempted, but see how it goes. Just getting his upper eyelid. Oh, it's made it because of the funny cast on the side of his face. His eye is hard to spot, but whatever. Okay, let's get the different bits of his ear in. So that funny thing that goes around the top, funny little flap at the side. Just kind of make it up, really. We all know what an ear looks like, and if you don't, you only know what a mirror looks like, so you can find out. Bottom eyelid, upper eyelid, crow's feet. Excuse me if I sound a little bit bunged up and all, because I am. There we go, side of his nostril, around his ear, little edge highlight there, little weird bits in ears, there we go. Pretty good. Looking pretty good. In fact, let's use this. It's going to neaten his eye up a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay. A little bit of Screaming Skull. look at the consistency I've got there. Look at the brush load again, size 0, broken toed. Smaller highlights now, just on raised areas. And I always do the bottom eyelid and upper eyelid if I can. Screwing this eye up. Should I keep this video? Yeah, I don't see why not. It's good to see that everyone messes up. Everybody does things regardless of how good everyone else thinks they are. Every painter does stuff they're not happy with. But at the same time, I also get to see how I deal with potential errors as well. The first way of dealing with potential errors is be cool about them. Let's get his nostril in. Now I've kind of lost his nostril a little bit there. It's a little bit of a mess. I've got it on this side. In fact, that's one thing with this model I noticed with the other one. Like I said before, this side of his face is a lot unclear as far as the sculpting goes. Yeah, but we're nearly done with his skin. One more little highlight. Let's get his nose in. Let's get his... In fact, he doesn't even have a nostril. Let's go, let's paint him a nostril in. There's somewhat there, but it's not clear what's what. So what I'm going to do, whatever I think his nostril should look like, I'm just going to paint a little crescent around an area that his nostril would be. It's a real subtle one, as you can see by the size of this mix. Yeah. I'm just going to get essentially an outline around something I can put a dot on, and that dot will be in this colour. I'm going to run it out of it. There we go. Much better, but not perfect. Neaten some of this up. It turned out to be a longer video than I intended here. Alright, there we go. Alright, cool. His eyes still aren't even. Let's fix that up and throw some whites in there. There we go, that's much better. Okay, should I have him looking left or right? Looking up at the ball? Or looking at us? I feel he should be looking at the ball. So get some white. I know naturally eyes aren't necessarily white, but so what? This guy's looking up to the right, so yeah, let's do this guy looking up to the left. So, it's a little dot in this corner, which is actually not the natural corner for a right-handed painter. I might actually give him blue eyes as well, you know. Bit heavy there, so the where his eye is, the dot I've done has just covered in where I wanted a black line. So I'm just going to go back in and have to neaten the bottom of the white of his eye up, make sure it's got a black line between that and the lower eyelid. Again, common things that happen when painting eyes. I've got to get it in here now. I'll probably end up doing the same thing accidentally with his eyes. Oops. Yeah. There we go. Get rid. Okay. Back to the old Rhinox. Fix these things up. Real thin. Notice all my little mixes now from all the other videos have been extrapolated much smaller. There we go. Highlight under his eye. And same on this side. Nice. Let's have a look in comparison, because the styles are going to be very different. Okay. Not too bad. He'll look better once the hair on him is done. I'll probably make a couple of adjustments here and there. But I might go a little bit darker in some places. Yeah, like I said, the style will differ because the method I used to paint that guy is different to the method to this guy. I actually had a lot of difficulties trying to paint that other guy. That's why I, again, decided to change the way I was painting this face. Just going a little bit deeper in some of the shadows, essentially. Just to bring out the expression in his face a little bit more. Get right up under his nose there. That nostril isn't very clear. There we go. Much better. Little area there I'm not into. Let's get rid of that. Paint that as his beard. Everything's looking pretty good now. Just get under his lip. Check this side of his face. Let's get under his eyebrow in a little bit better. Yeah, cool. I think I'm going to go a little bit lighter up here on his forehead, just to help accentuate his raised eyebrow. I might go a little bit darker in the shadows as well. Sometimes when I go extra light, I'll add white into this mix as well as Screaming Skull. Other times I'll add a little bit of Blue Horror. But let's do this first and see how it looks. Yeah, cool. Get a highlight on his ear. Highlight on his cheekbone. Highlight his crow's feet. Beep. There we go. Yeah, I much prefer that now. Let's do the same over this side. Little highlight on the bottom of his eyelid. Highlight his little kind of crow's feet there. I've got to say, like, adding in little facial details that aren't necessarily on the model is, for me, almost a must. Get his little frowny thing in. Yeah, he's looking miles better now. Much more contrast on his face. Highlight his top of his ear. Got a little one on his chin there. Yeah, miles better. Alright, dudes. He's done. Do some hair videos in a little bit. Alright, have a top day. Got any questions, give me a shout. You know how to find me for lessons, so enjoy.